red zone, let's go. CHICAGO, claws up, bear down, red zone, let's go.
All right, little condensed intro there. Not much to that. Just want to get to the nuts and bolts today because we got a lot to go over. There's a lot happening with this game. And my buddy Broc, who you've seen on some of my other channel or on my other videos, is a diehard Colts fan. So I brought him on. I had an interview with him. I'm placing it in here. Actually, 2 nights ago, I interviewed him, and we just talked about the game together. We just talked about the matchup, and I think there's some good stuff in there, so I want to get to that. So let's hit right off the bat. I'm going to get right into this game. We'll go over the roster, breaking news on it, anything that's going on. We'll talk about it briefly, and then we'll go from there. So this is what we said at the beginning of the season. This is what I said, at least. This is what I said the odds were of things happening, where this roster was, with what we should be able to pull off this season. And so far, it's gone exactly to form. A win against Tennessee, a loss to the Texans, and now we've got the Colts, which is a 50-50 game. And if you look at the Vegas odds, that's exactly where they have it right now. Here's as we're tracking along. They opened up preseason as a 2-point favorite over us. They've had some injuries. Forrest Buckner, some of their main players have had some injuries, so they're struggling a little bit. And now they're a 1-point favorite coming into the game today. That's what the difference in those numbers are. The Titans stayed firm at 4.5 because it was the first game of the year. It wasn't going to change much. The Texans were 3.5. They were 6.5 before the game started. They ended up beating us by 6. This game started before the season at 2. Now it's at 1. That basically means it's a pick'em game because the Colts are at home. So we'll see what happens there. This is what all of the analysts on NFL.com say. They have 6 of them picking the Colts, 4 of them picking the Bears. So anyway you slice it, this should be a fun, close game. I predicted before the season, before training camp, before all of this, I predicted the Bears would win this one and go 2-1. The Bears would win this one. 19-16 was my prediction. And now last week on my prediction video, I had us winning 38-10. I really think there's some lopsided things for this game that favor the Bears that are going to make this a game where Caleb Williams can open up, the offense can open up, the offense can get running. The defense will stay just as stout. The defense has come out just as strong this year than it was the end of last year. So I'm really happy with where this team is, and I'm predicting a big win. I want it. I think it would be good for the team. I think it'd be good for Caleb. So I'm predicting that. Here's what you have on the Vegas line and odds. Let me take me off. So for the game, the Bears today, this is as of right now. As of today, here's the line. The over-under is 43.5 points. So if you look at the second row down there, the over-under, Indy is projected at 22.5. The Bears at 21.5. They're a 1-point favorite as it stands right now. I think the Bears hold Indy. I think they'll have an easier time holding Indy than other teams under the 20 points. So I'm not always in favor of what Vegas is saying. I really think the Bears have the edge on this one. For rushing, they've got Jonathan Taylor with 72.5, DeAndre Swift at 58.5, which I'd be good with, but I want to see Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert getting involved with almost the same amount of rushing yards. They got Anthony Richardson, 40.5, Caleb Williams, 21.5. And if you go to the right side, the top row there, it's kind of, let's see if we can move this down so you can see for a second. They got Caleb Williams over under 1.5 touchdowns, which would be fantastic. We just want to get his first one out of the way. I do have him throwing 2 touchdowns in this game. If we score 38, it should be more than that, but I see us running some touchdowns as well. Anthony Richardson with the over-under of 0.5 touchdown. Caleb Williams, 213.5 passing yards is his over-under. Anthony Richardson, 197.5 in receiving yards. DJ Moore leads the way at 62.5. Michael Pittman, 50.5. Roma Dunze, 36.5. Alec Pierce, who's had a touchdown in every game he's played in this season, at 28.5. So that's where the odds stand for the game. Let's get into the roster. Let's get into the roster and where this team stands right now. Let's scoot this on over. We'll just make it go. So here's the injury report. We've got Keenan Allen out, Kerry Blasingame out, and then Travis Homer out, as well as Zach Pickens out. But with Blasingame and Homer out, that to me, we should be upset about that, right? This should be a bad thing. It should make us upset. We're going to be fine. But there's been way too much Travis Homer play in the first couple games, and I think most fans would agree with that. It's not normal. It's It's the one thing with Shane Waldron, that and the Cole Kmet play. Now, as you look into Cole Kmet's advanced metrics, he's not getting separation at all, and he's blocking very poorly. So he's off to a rough start. But the only way you fix that is by getting him in the game more and showing his strengths. Excuse me. Getting him in there and showing his strengths and letting him correct it. We're early in the season. So Travis Homer being out is a good thing to me. You're going to have a lot more Roschon Johnson back there with his pass blocking ability. And then you can mix things up with all three: Roschon Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, and then on jet sweeps or different opportunities, you can still bring Velus Jones Jr. So I think there's a good mix for this game, and I think Travis Homer being out is actually a really good thing. But that's coming from someone who said, I think we should cut him before the season started. So I understand, take that with a grain of salt. Zach Pickens is being replaced by Byron Cowart, who's been called up from the practice squad today. They made that decision. And then Colin Johnson was also called up from the practice squad. Travis Homer is on the injured reserve. He's been put on the injured reserve. So let's go to... So there's the moves right there. Placed Travis Homer on the IR, elevated Colin Johnson and Byron Cowart from the practice squad. So that was just a little bit earlier today. And then here's the one thing I want to point out. This is from PFF. I know this is jumbled on your screen. I just want to show the contrast of this game, what's going to happen. So on the left is the offensive line. On the right is the defensive line. This is PFF's rankings for every team going into this week. And if you look, the Colts offensive line is ranked 1. The Bears defensive line is ranked number 4. So it's going to be a clash of 1 versus 4 on the offense defensive line there. So our defensive line is going to have to step up their game. The Colts are ranked as the number 1 offensive line right now. And on the contrast side, you've got 2 mediocre, as it stands right now, 2 mediocre with really DeForest Buckner's out. And so this really hurts them even more, but they're ranked 17 on the defensive line, and our offensive line is ranked 19th. So kind of shows you why it's an equal battle for this game. And we know the key to this game is the Bears to get the run game going. They can do that in this game against the Colts. The Colts defensive line and defense overall has allowed the most rushing yards through any team through 2 games this year. So it's a big opportunity for the Bears. So number 1 offense on the Colts against the number 4 defensive line on the Bears. That'll be a good matchup. I'd like to see the pressure generated against that tough of an offensive line. It'll be a true test. So this isn't going to be a cakewalk game. I know a lot of us feel like it, but really this is a good game for the team where it stands right now to get into things, to be able to establish themselves, especially with the Colts defensive front. And so this is the defensive line being ranked 17th, but being DeForest Buckner being out of the game, it really gives the Bears. That's how the Packers really got an edge up on the Colts last week. So same format should be used for the Bears. We should establish the run game early. Travis Homer being out should really be an opportunity for this team with Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift to be able to mix things up and pound it a little bit harder. So that's actually a good thing in my opinion. All right. So let's get into the actual how it looks now after, let me take me off, after the call-up. So you got Caleb and Tyson Bagent. I don't know who's going to be active. So I usually do this video on Sunday morning or on, right after they announce the inactives. But I've got to spend some more dad time this weekend. And then next weekend, I'm going to be in Chicago for the game. So these are going to be out of order. I'm not always going to have the inactives. So I don't know who the 48 are right now. We'll find that out tomorrow morning. But I'm still going to show you what the roster looks like right now. And you can kind of deduce. There's going to be some defensive linemen that are inactive. So we'll go through it. So there's Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. And then as you get to the running backs, we've really only got 4 now. Yes, I realize Velus Jones was taking snaps, taking reps with the wide receivers this week. That doesn't mean he's not going to take any snaps at running back. You've only got 3 running backs. He's going to be dressing in this game. How much action he'll get, I don't think it'll be a lot. I think it'll be limited at this point. I don't think he's going to have a ton of action. But you could see him come in to mix it up, especially against this against this Colts defensive front that's been struggling. So it could be a good opportunity for him to get a couple reps that will build his confidence as well. On to the wide receivers, you got DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, who is going to play, Tyler Scott, DeAndre Carter, and Colin Johnson, who's been called up. Keenan Allen is officially out for the game. And then you've got on tight ends, you got Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis. on the offensive line. You got Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright. A lot of rumors about Matt Pryor taking the reps from Nate Davis and starting this game. I'm all in favor of it. Nate Davis looks so undisciplined. He was the biggest reason Darnell Wright struggled last week. With Nate Davis's inconsistencies, it makes it tough for the offense to have that gel and cohesion. I don't think the offensive line played terrible last week. I've kind of fallen on a sword on that one because a lot of people don't agree. And I understand your opinion if you don't agree. I get it. It's a tough take. Nate Davis was really the most inconsistent thing with all those rockbacks and all the false starts and he was the one tapping the center to start, and then he would jump offside before the center snapped the ball. It just was very bizarre how inconsistent he is. And it leads to more questions about Nate Davis. Matt Pryor has experience, and he has experience against this team, against the Colts. So it'd be a fun game to see him get in and play some starting guard, to be able to see him build cohesion, because it's not like you're throwing in Karan Amagaji, who has no starts, no snaps at all at the NFL level. Now, with Karan, you're actually hearing a lot of really good things coming out of camp from today, yesterday, the day before, that now that he's healthy, he's impressing a lot of people right off the bat. So I don't think it's going to be a long time before you get him into the games. I just don't want to see him in the games in high leverage situations or having to start and put that pressure on him. So, which he probably wouldn't tackle anyways, but having him as a swing tackle, having the availability, if Darnell Wright gets hurt on a play or Braxton Jones gets hurt on a play or needs a breather or something happens and you have to have your swing tackle come in, Matt Pryor is the swing tackle right now. But having him available, having Karan Amajaji available to play swing tackle and hearing all the good things you hear about him this week, that gives me confidence to say, okay, Matt Pryor, you go ahead and go shift to guard because we've got a decent swing tackle that we can trust to at least get some reps. If it's not working out, we can take Matt Pryor, shift him over to swing tackle. Say Darnell Wright got hurt. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood. Say he got hurt. It's not working out with Karan coming in, and Matt Pryor is at guard. You can shift him over to swing tackle, bring Nate Davis back in. It's not the end of the world. Or you can even get Bill Murray some reps, who, again, limited experience. He shifted from defensive tackle. He was with the Patriots, and he's really had a huge preseason for us. Really, really solid. No pressures allowed. Really, really solid by Bill Murray, but not ready for the start or the high-pressure leverage situation. So there's options, but I really like where the offensive line is. I know nobody's going to like hearing that. Don't jump down my throat until it's proven. We can't think otherwise. But the next 3 games will be really good for this offensive line. I think it's an opportunity for them, and I want to see them gel and cohese. Remember that last year, everyone was really, really down on the defensive line, and coming into the season, there were still question marks. And then as the season started now, we're the number 4 line in the league through 2 games. I know that doesn't mean everything. It's through 2 games, but the same thing with the offensive line. It's through 2 games. All they have to do is gel and cohese, because Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, and Darnell Wright are all starting caliber offensive linemen in this league. They are. They're good enough to be starters. Right now, they're playing average to below average to above average, depending on the snap and the situation. Nate Davis, I don't have the answer to what's wrong with him. Lack of effort, complacency, undisciplined. I don't know. I'm frustrated just like you guys are. So I'm not going to give an answer on that one. We're stuck with him this year. I'd like him to be a backup and try to prove himself again before he has those high leverage situations. But that's where we stand on the offensive line. So I'm actually really good with the line, and hearing the news about Karan Amagaji this week and Matt Pryor with his experience at guard, I'm good. I hope they make the right personnel decisions. All right, so we move on to the defensive line, and here's all the big news. Zach Pickens is out. Now, Dominique Robinson has been a scratch. I put Darrell Taylor up on the top line because he's been rotating in on the different personnel sets. He's been getting a lot of time. So he's really the 5th offensive or defensive lineman starting. Andrew Billings is probably the MVP of this offseason so far, or of this season so far to start it off. Andrew Billings has been great. So you look at how many guys we have active. Zach Pickens is out. Byron Cowart's been called up. That's 10 guys. I don't think we dress all of them. Dominique Robinson hasn't been dressing for a lot of them, but we have been using a lot of them on the special team. So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Dominique Robinson is probably the one who doesn't make it to the 48-man roster for this game. 5 guys will not be active, so 5 guys will sit. And then probably Chris Williams or Byron Cowart would not be active as well, would be my guess, but we'll see. That news will be tomorrow morning. Then you've got no changes at linebacker. Noah Sewell has been inactive a couple times. We'll see what happens there. And then no changes at cornerbacks. Same 6 guys, all playing really well, in my opinion, especially our starters. Tyreek Stevenson did have a little bit of a rough game last week, but I don't think it's detrimental, and I don't think it's anything indicative to him long term. And then at safety, we've got the same 4 safeties. So nothing changing on any of that. Everything there is solid. And then there's your special teams. Torrey Taylor, Cairo Santos, and Scott Daly. That's where the team stands right now. I cruised through that kind of fast. I apologize if it was too fast, but I did want to bring up my interview with my buddy Broc. I think there's some good stuff in there about where we stand with both of our teams and his view on the Bears and the Colts. So I'm going to bring that on now, and we'll do that interview with Broc, and then it's time for the game tomorrow. Tomorrow is time for the game, so we are here. Okay. All right, I got my buddy Broc on. Since he's a Colts fan, we thought
That's
it would
your
be
buddy Broc on. That should be my theme right there. Broc on instead of rock on, right?
Broc on. Should we change your name on there?
No, not really.
Okay, I won't change your name. We got Broc on. He's a diehard Colts fan. He's going out to a game here in a month to Indianapolis. We talked about heading out to the Colts Bears, but I blew that one up because I have my kids. I have some stuff going on with my kids, so we didn't end up doing it. So now we both have to watch from home and pull for our teams. And we got the 1-1 Bears and the 0-2 Colts. And right off the bat, here's what NFL, they do their weekly preview show. And the Colts are favored by a point, and some places have them by 1.5. But all the Vegas books as of today have them at a point. So we're going to go off of that. Now, part of that is, in that is that the Colts are at home, so they have a slight edge. So really what they're saying is this is an equal game. They're saying the Bears' lackluster offense that hasn't got going yet, that hasn't scored a passing touchdown this season, and the Colts' bad run defense equal each other out, and no one's going to score any points, and we're all going to go to overtime and end with a tie.
The way our defense is playing, Caleb Williams might look like the Pro Bowl, the next Mahomes this week. So if he can't do it against this defense, it might be a long year for you Bears fans.
We got to remember, though, these are all pro teams. These are all NFL teams, and you guys had a little hype coming into the season. Are you completely deflated now after 2 weeks?
We needed help in the secondary before we put 2 people on IR, so that doesn't help. And then our run defense has just been atrocious, and then Buckner's on IR. He was our best defensive tackle. So, yeah, it's not looking good. There's not a lot to hang your hat on and have hope now on that defensive side.
Now, just because you're coming onto a Bears channel doesn't mean you have to lay over and take it. You can be a little excited for your team too. I know personally, talking to you off of this, you are frustrated with the Colts right now, and I understand why. So it's
yeah, the defense has been really bad. Linebackers have been bad. The defensive line's been bad. And the secondary was bad before this even started. And like I says, they've only had injuries, and it's just not looking good.
Well, I mean, I hate to be the one to have to prop up the Colts a little bit, but I know you lost Juju Brents, who was coming out at the same time as Tyreek Stevenson. We've talked about that quite a bit, and I like both of them. I actually had those as my 2 targets for the Bears pre-draft, and it ended up working out. We both got one of them, so I was stoked when that happened. Who's your other defensive back that's out? Because I'm not sure I'm up on that.
Julian Blackman, he's our starting strong safety.
I didn't know he was out.
He was out last. Well, he didn't play week 1, he played week 1, was out week 2, but he's on the IR, so he's not back for at least 3 more weeks. So.
And Buckner's on the IR, so you guys are
hosed there. Buckner's on the IR. Yep.
The highlights
so far. One good thing that happened this week, and that is Josh Downs is back.
Nice. Your slot receiver, for those who don't know who Josh Downs is. Quick, very quick, lightning quick.
Yes, he is.
Good receiving core for the Colts. One of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in the league. So that's going to put up a test for the Bears defensive line, who came into the season with some question marks, and the biggest highlight has been the defensive tackles. Andrew Billings and Jervon Dexter have been 2 of the very best in the league so far. So that's really helped out. And then we picked up Darrell Taylor right before the season started on a trade. So the Bears' defensive front is going to face a really elite offensive line, and that might be where the rubber meets the road on how this game goes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I think we need to rely on Jonathan Taylor quite a bit. We went away from that last week in the fourth quarter, and that can't happen again.
yeah, I have no idea. And then the end of last season, you guys took him out in the most important play of the game, and he's on my fantasy team. Me and Broc are in one of our leagues. We're on the same. And I usually always bench anyone that's facing the Bears. It never works out well for me. That's a terrible strategy, but it's my Bears pride comes before my fantasy football, even though that's a pay league that we're in. But I can't bench Jonathan Taylor because that's essentially, I mean, that's what you guys have to do to win this game. You've got to get the run game going with Anthony Richardson to be able to get a couple of those deep balls. And the Bears, ironically, have to do the same thing. We got to get our run game going, which has been non-existent so far.
Yeah, like it says, we're going to have the weak part of the defense, the defensive run right now, and then you guys have been weak on offensive run, and it's going to see who is going to be the most inept at stopping the other one. So,
yeah, I think now the Bears for 8 or 9 straight weeks have held their opponents to 10 or below, or to 20 or below. Sorry, 20 or below, which is huge. So if the Bears defense can show up, I'm not too worried about stopping the big plays because. So I just pulled up. This is this. I shared this earlier with Broc. This is an interesting little thing that I found on Twitter. The spread, according to them at that time, was the Colts by 1.5. So they predict the Colts to win by 1.5. 42.5 points is the over/under. So the implied total is the Colts would score 22. The Bears would score 20.5. Right now, the Colts and the Bears are both ironically scoring 18.5 points per game. And the Bears are allowing 18 points a game, and the Colts are allowing 22.5 points per game. And this is through 2 weeks, so it doesn't mean a whole hill of beans. It doesn't mean really anything. But it's just something for us to look at. And what you were referencing was down below there. You guys are rushing on 41% of your plays, passing on 58%, which is a normal balanced approach. The Bears don't normally pass on 63% of their plays, but our run game hasn't been working, so they've had to turn to that more. But on the opposing rush, it's extremely high on the Colts side. Teams are rushing 2/3 of their plays against the Colts because they're not stopping it. And
yeah, I think that number is a little inflated because of the Packers last week. They didn't have Love, and they did throw a lot of, or they threw in a lot of run plays to help protect Malik Willis.
Yeah, I wonder on that game because I don't know. I don't have that game up, but I think I saw that they ran over like 3/4 of their snaps. They ran a run play on 3/4 of the snaps, which is a black.
Well, I think Jacobs had 100 yards almost in the first quarter. So yeah, there's a reason why they were doing it too.
Yeah,
if they stopped them, they would have had to do something different, but we didn't stop the run.
I think they had 200 yards total against you guys in the first half. 200
Yeah,
yards.
that sounds right.
Which is ridiculous. So keep that up for one more week for us Bears fans, if you could. DeAndre Swift is not a. So this will be interesting. I want to get your opinion as a non-Bears fan, because Bears fans kind of have this delusion about DeAndre Swift. I said all offseason I'd like to see us go get a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley. And we know that Saquon Barkley wouldn't have gone anywhere but Philadelphia. He ended up going to his hometown. There was a whole thing on it and how he actually could have got paid more and he went there. So that wasn't really an option for us, but I wanted a power back. How does the rest of the league, non-Bears fans, how do they view DeAndre Swift?
I hope you guys use him a lot because I think he's overrated. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah.
I've never been when he first came out of college, I thought he could do something, but watching him over those years and then seeing what he did on last year with Detroit, I just wasn't a big fan.
1,000-yard rusher last year, though.
Yeah, but I just don't. He doesn't strike me as one of the better backs in the league. I don't really fear him.
You think he lucked into 1,000 yards because he was on the Eagles?
Well, the Eagles, their offense was really good. So,
yeah, well, for most of the year.
Yeah, for most of the year.
They crapped an egg there at the end. But I think a lot of Bears fans are starting to realize the same thing. He's definitely not a power back. I wanted a power back. And the problem
he's that shifty guy.
Yeah, the problem with Khalil Herbert for the Bears, he's the best yards per average power back that we had. And he can't pass block, and so you can't depend on him. So that's why Roschon Johnson's really good, but he's been injured. They just talked about in the press conference on Thursday, which is today. We're recording this Thursday, but they talked about, they questioned Shane Waldron. They said, why aren't you using Roschon Johnson? We said, well, that's part of the process of bringing someone back from injury, though, because he was injured for a lot of the preseason. So hopefully that gives some hope. Hopefully that means they will start to use Roschon Johnson more, and we can use DeAndre Swift as more of, your out of the backfield dancing type of back. He's not going to pound the holes, but he's going to be able to get some sweeps, and he's going to be able to get some screens, and he's going to be able to get some of those yards. Because I don't see him as a power back either, but that's one of the big debates. There was a lot of people that were really excited when we signed DeAndre Swift, and I was happy that we signed another back. I was a little torn that we didn't go after a bigger power back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But how about you guys just give us?
I think the front office with the Bears thought that he could catch the ball out of the backfield, and that would be something good for Caleb on his first year, is why they targeted him.
I think you nailed it. Being able to have him have a check down option, that is the big perk to him. But, this last game against Houston, now you guys faced Houston already too. I mean, they learned what the Bears are struggling with, and that's cohesion on the offensive line. I don't think our offensive line is bad, but the cohesion's not there. We're not picking up stunts. We're not communicating well. And so, they sacked Caleb 7 times last game. And when you have that happening, it's hard to even get the ball out to DeAndre
So what
Swift.
do you consider bad when they give up 7 sacks and they're not communicating well?
Okay, I don't think the talent is bad. That's a great point. You're probably gonna have a lot of Bears fans like that comment from you, because it's civil war already with Bears fans, with them trying to be at the throat of some of our linemen. But
yeah, so I don't think the Bears line is very good. I don't follow the Bears like you, but
yeah.
I just, from what I've seen, I haven't been impressed.
Well, if you're only watching the Texans game, we look like hot trash garbage. Absolutely.
I did watch that game. That was Sunday night. So yeah, I did watch that one.
I think the talent is there. I haven't given up on the line yet. I think at any point in the start of the season, you can't really gauge 2 games as how a team is on any aspect. The Colts defense, the run defense, this is not the Colts run defense through 2 games. They're not going to be the worst in the league the entire season. When DeForest Buckner's back, when you've got some of your guys back, once you make some corrections through week 8, you guys probably won't be very last. Maybe you will. I don't know. And maybe the Bears will be trash at picking up blitzes all season. We'll see, but you can't know through 2 games. It takes a bigger sample size.
Yeah, that's one thing the Colts need to do is blitz, because I think when you have a rookie quarterback, you got to put pressure on them, make them think a lot quicker than they want.
Well, and they're going to. They have to, right?
I don't know. Gus Bradley is the defensive coordinator that's the most predictable, and blitzes the least in the league, and he has been forever. And that's
but that's what
one
I
of
was
the
saying
reasons
earlier.
we need a new defensive coordinator.
That's what I was saying earlier, is he's actually middle of the league for blitzes. He's blitzed. I wish I had it in front of me, but go look it up. He's blitzed almost 2 times as much as he normally does through 2 games this season.
And part of that, I think, was just to stop the run, because the defensive line couldn't.
Yeah,
so
and
you're facing Malik Willis.
You're facing Malik Willis last week, who's a backup, who's filling in for Jordan Love. So you want to put some pressure on him, and you want to get some stuff going that way to throw him off his game. So I can see that too. But that's part of the game plan that has to be for the Colts at this point, until the Bears prove they can stop that blitz, the stunts, any of those schemes where they're going to throw the offensive line off guard. I would expect to see a whole plethora. Just right off the bat, they're going to be sending the kitchen sink. Darius Leonard's healthy, right?
Darius Leonard?
No, who's your linebacker?
Hasn't been on the Colts.
I know.
Zaire Franklin. Okay.
Zaire Franklin. He's healthy, right?
He threw me off. Like, what did I miss? But yeah.
So
Zaire hasn't played very well either.
Well, here's the game to get you back into it.
I hope so.
And then who's your other big defensive stud? Nick Cross so far?
Well, Nick Cross is getting all the tackles, which isn't a good thing when your linemen and linebackers aren't making any stops and your safeties are making all the tackles. That's part of the reason we're stuck at the run is they're getting through everybody.
Some safeties, now I don't know the Colts as well as you do, but some safeties get all those tackles because they do a lot of stunts and they do a lot of blitzes. Jaquan Brisker gets a ton of tackles.
Yeah,
the Bears
in our defensive scheme, he's our free safety who sits back and observes, and then he has to come up and make the tackle.
So far, because he's one of your highest graded players, that's not a good thing because he's the last line of defense and everyone's getting
Yeah.
to him. Okay.
He's our free safety that's usually in the middle of the field. So that's a really bad sign when he's your leading tackler.
All right. So to you, I'll go first. With me, the Bears, the keys to the game for the Bears, we've got to get the run game established. And that's got to be a key component for them. They've got to hit that early, and then they can mix things up because the Colts will be backed off a little bit from the blitzes. If we can get the run game going, it's going to throw them back a little bit, and they'll have to make their adjustments, which opens it up for Caleb to be able to get some actual passing going in the game. And then our defense just needs to keep up what they've been doing. They need to stop the run and play in the secondary. I mean, just everything the Bears are doing, keep them below 20 points, and it should give the offense an opportunity. For the Colts, as a Colts fan, what do you think the Colts' key to be able to have a chance against the Bears is?
We need to have sustained drives. One other thing that you see on this is I think we're averaging about 20 minutes of time of possession on offense. And so that means the other offense has the ball 40% of the time. When your defense is struggling and can't stop anything, that's part of it. They're running and having the clock run, and so it makes it worse. But we got to, on offense, actually stop doing 3 and outs or a deep touchdown to Alec Pierce. We need to have long, sustained drives and keep our defense off the field as much as possible.
Yeah, one of the other things that was on there, I shouldn't have taken it off early, but the Colts are number 1 in the league at yards per game, which was on offensive yards, which is interesting, but there's more context that needs to be given because the Colts haven't really sustained a lot of first downs. They're not getting a lot of drives where they're getting a lot of plays to get first downs, but they've got a lot of home run hits. I mean, in the first game alone, didn't you guys have 3 passes of 60 yards or more with Anthony Richardson?
I think we had 2 touchdowns that were 60 and 56, I think it was, and then another deep pass to Alec that didn't result in a touchdown, but I think it was 50-something yards as well.
Okay, so above 50. So, I mean, it's home run threats. The Bears need to limit those home run threats, and they should be fine on defense.
Well, that's what Green Bay did to us. They just sat back and dared us to throw under, and that is not Anthony Richardson's strong suit at this point.
Yeah, I did a video yesterday that showed, it was basically about Caleb Williams, but when I was looking in there, I saw Anthony Richardson in a clean pocket. His accuracy rating is not fantastic so far, but his deep ball is, I mean, he's got a cannon, man.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
He is. He needs to learn to take some or to get some touch on his passes. And he's had a lot of drops as well. I think Taylor had 2 drops last week. Mitchell had some drops. When he's inaccurate, but that's bad because it will stop the drive. But actually, when he throws a good ball and we're dropping it, it just makes it that much worse.
Yeah, it's interesting. The beginning of the season, it happens for every team because the Bears, the same thing. There's a couple drops. Rome could have had his first touchdown. Keenan could have had the first touchdown the first game, and they both dropped touchdown passes, which drives us fans bonkers. But
Rome wasn't an easy pass to catch, though.
No, it was a little high, but he did get both hands on it, and I do expect those big contested catch receivers. I got to give him a little break. He is a rookie, and I'm not going to crucify him over it. It's early, but that's
one thing. Even with Colts fans, you see is they're already calling Latu a bust, and it's like, dude, 2 games, calm down.
Yeah. Now, from what I've seen, he hasn't been terrible. What are you, man? Maybe this is the game where he tees off against the Bears offensive line that's struggling.
He might get some confidence with a couple sacks this week. Let's hope.
Broc knows, and I think most of you guys on the channel know, that was my pick that I thought the Bears would go after. I didn't think we'd hit a wide receiver early. I wanted us to get Rome. I didn't think Rome would be there at 9. So I projected that we would trade down from 9 with the Colts. Ironically, it ended up being released later that the Colts did try to trade up with the Bears. We don't know what the package would have included, but it would be assumed the Colts were trying to come up and get Rome Odunze. And they
also tried to trade up with the Giants to go, and then I think it was Rome was the target the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, people can crap on stuff now, but it's 2 weeks in. Like we said, it's 2 weeks into the season.
You can't. It's easy to judge these rookies, but you can't really see what they're going to be on the first year. You got to give them time to develop.
Yeah, people just see what happened with Marvin Harrison Jr. in the big game last week, and they expect that's what every top 10 prospect should look like.
Well, his first game, he had 1 catch for 3 yards, I think. So,
yeah, But I really like Latu. I think he's going to be a really good staple for you guys for years to come. He's highly talented, obviously, and he's got a motor. No
And
lingering
he's
injury
had some
issues.
pressures. He just, yeah, he's well, actually, I think he had some kind of leg issue. Our whole defense have had some kind of injury, it seems like, but he's been playing through it, but nothing that's really slowed him down.
What's with his weird Skittle hairs?
I have no idea.
Did you see that? Did you see the pictures
Yeah.
of it? He's
Yeah,
like,
with the preseason, I think the last game
he's not like that anymore.
I don't know. I haven't really seen him with his helmet off, so
Taste the rainbow, man. He's I'm gonna pull it up. I gotta pull it up and look real quick.
I think it's just like brown to bleach blonde, isn't it?
Is it now? Okay. We'll
I
trust
thought
you.
that's what it was, but I don't remember.
All right. So before we wrap it up, I'm going to ask you, what do you think your prediction? What's the prediction for this game? Now we know from the prediction video, you predicted, as a Colts fan, you predicted the Bears will upset the Colts. Are you sticking with that for your official prediction? What's your prediction on this game?
No, I did that to curse the Bears. Well, curse myself with my pick and curse the Bears by doing that. Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me for. I'm just thinking really close here. I'm going to say this game is going to be 20-16 for the Colts.
2016 Colts. I like it. Let's pull this back up. So this is what the experts said from NFL.com. They've got 6 out of the 10 saying that the Colts will win this one. So you're very close to shook there at the bottom. 2017 was his prediction. On my prediction video, I went full out homer because these close predictions haven't been working for me. So I'm more like Gordon there on the bottom left. I said 36-10 Bears. I'm wanting a blowout. I want Caleb Williams
36. Wow.
Yep. I want the Bears to have their breakout game. I'm sorry it's at your expense. I know it's not realistic because if we do get up early, we'll end up running the ball a lot, and then it won't be as high score. But I want it. I'm trying to will it into existence, and so that's what I'm going with. I'm going 36-10.
If it gets Gus Bradley fired sooner, I will take that.
And I'll be there for the suicide prevention hotline for you if it does get to 36-10. Just pick up the phone, ring. I'll talk you off the ledge.
I'm sure we'll be talking throughout the game, but
yeah, so we're good. All right, Broc, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot through the game, and we'll have a lot to talk about in the upcoming week. Because how many times have we played since the Super Bowl? Because Broc lets me know quite frequently the last time that the Bears were in the Super Bowl, we lost to the Colts, and I think everyone knows that on this channel. They should know that. So it's been, what is that, 17 years now since that Super Bowl? 18?
wait, the Colts beat the Bears in the Super Bowl? That's cool.
Shut up, you son of a. Last time the Colts were in the Super Bowl, too.
No, we were in it with the Saints, but 2 years after that, and we lost. So
okay, so I'm not up and up. Was that before you guys got rid of Peyton Manning or after?
no, we still had Peyton.
Yeah, Peyton, and then he went to
We have
Denver.
not been to the Super Bowl since.
You had your hope with Andrew Luck.
We had some luck, and then he retired. So
everybody thought you might, and man, was that a shocker. And you guys have kind of been cursed ever since then, like the Bears have been cursed.
It's been ugly, yeah.
You had quarterback carousel just like we have, so hopefully Anthony Richardson's going to end your quarterback carousel.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think he's a long-term prospect, or is he still an up-in-the-air thing for you?
Well, I don't know if many people know this, but he is still the youngest quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and he's taken less reps. I mean, as far as like college and pro combined stats, like even in high, yeah, Caleb has more professional experience than him. If you're counting college and like Pro Bowl or like bowl games and stuff like that, Anthony Richardson.
He's still young. He's still learning.
So he's the youngest quarterback. Man, I wish we had that in front of us because there was a whole list of them. How old is he? He's 23, is that right?
I think he's 22 right now.
22. And Caleb's not much older than him, but he is.
Caleb's 22 as well, but I think just the days he's a little older.
We were looking at, I think Caleb's like 22 years and almost 300 days now. His birthday's in November. And Anthony Richardson's was like 22 years and like 160 days or something like that. So
yeah, so
but he was a rookie last year, so interesting.
Yeah. But that's the other thing is his rookie year, he played 4 games and finished 2. So this is still kind of his rookie year. So we need to be patient with him, even though it's really hard watching what the Colts are doing right now.
Yeah, I had high expectations for the Colts. I really did this year, especially with them going down to the wire with the Texans last year.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it could have been the flipped script. It could have been the Texans missing the playoffs and the Colts making the playoffs if that one play would have been to Jonathan Taylor and then they score. I mean, it would have been the Colts in the playoffs, so it would have been a whole different story. So,
Yeah.
would have been interesting to see how that panned out. But I agree. I think Anthony Richardson with only like 3 official games, but that 1 year, even sitting on the bench and being in the film room and learning and understanding, that can be a lot for a young player. They can get a lot of experience from that too, though.
Yeah, it does help for sure.
All right, Brock, good luck this week. Good luck. And I don't mean that. I mean that very facetiously. Good luck to the Colts. I hope all your players stay healthy. I can honestly say that. I hope all your players stay healthy, but I hope the Bears win 36-10.
I'll take a 20-6 victory for the Colts.
20-6. You've changed it now. You moved it 10 points.
2016, sorry. 2016, whatever it was.
Now you're just vengeful.
There's going to be probably more field goals than touchdowns, what I'm projecting.
Thanks for coming on, Brock. I do appreciate you.
Have a good one.
All right, Brock's the man for coming on. Thanks, Brock. And I'm not going to say whether or not we have a little side bet on this game. We may or may not. You guys know about my parlays and my little bets that I do. But Brock's a good guy. Appreciate his comments. Appreciate him coming on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is there anything you learned? Is there anything you are interested in or invested in for this game? I'm super stoked for this game. I think this is a game to get us back on course, get the ship corrected, get it right where we need to be, and get the Bears back in line. The next 3 games should be a big opportunity. Unfortunately, because some of these teams have injuries, but still, I mean, with the Colts, with Buckner, and the Rams with 2 of their receivers, but still, it gives us a good opportunity to be able to right the ship, get things on track, build some confidence, and go forward. So with that, we're less than 20 hours away from kickoff. Hope you guys enjoy the game. I won't be doing a lot tomorrow for the game. Spending time with my girls, be watching the game with them, be going to church, be doing my thing. This is a week that I'll be having off from it. Maybe I'll give some updates here or there, but don't expect a lot from me. Hope you enjoy the game, though. With that, enjoy it. Go Bears. Win. Da Bears. And bear down.